Captain Maya Chen stood at the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching as the massive Vexari warship emerged from hyperspace. The alien vessel's crystalline structure caught the light of the distant sun, creating prismatic patterns that would have been beautiful if not for the growing tension in the air. 3 months of careful diplomatic messages had led to this moment, humanity's first face-to-face contact with the Vexari Dominion. Their energy signatures are stable, Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez reported from her station. Weapon systems appear to be in standby mode, but she hesitated. There's something odd about their shield configurations. Maya nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite the concern growing in her gut. The Vexari had responded to humanity's peaceful broadcasts with apparent interest, but something about their responses had always seemed off. Too precise, too calculated, as if they were following a script rather than engaging in genuine dialogue. Open communications channel, Maya ordered. Standard greeting protocol. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the alien bridge. The Vexari commander, High Executor Zixtal, towered over his subordinates, his iridescent exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's ambient lighting. 4 pairs of compound eyes studied the human crew with what Maya could only interpret as contempt. "Greetings, High Executor," Maya began, following the carefully crafted diplomatic protocols. "On behalf of the United Earth Government." "Your attempts at diplomacy are unnecessary," Zixtal interrupted, his translated voice carrying an artificial smoothness. "We have studied your species thoroughly through your broadcasts. Your technological development is precisely 2.47 cycles behind acceptable parameters for meaningful dialogue." Maya felt her crew tense around her. This wasn't going according to any of the predicted scenarios. "With respect, High Executor, technological advancement isn't the only measure of a species' worth. We believe we can offer. You can offer nothing." Zixtal's mandibles clicked in what their xenolinguists would later identify as amusement. "Your species' continued expansion into space represents an inefficiency in the galactic order. The Dominion has calculated that allowing your further development would result in a 23.8% increase in sector instability over the next standard cycle." The tactical display suddenly blazed with warnings. Multiple Vexari ships were emerging from hyperspace, their weapon systems powering up. Maya's training kicked in instantly. "Shields at maximum," she ordered. "Emergency broadcast to Fleet Command. First Contact Protocol 7. We are under attack." The Prometheus shuddered as the first Vexari energy blast struck their shields. The attack was precise, targeting what they must have assumed were critical systems based on their analysis of human broadcasts. But the Vexari had made their first mistake. They assumed they knew everything about human capabilities from their observations. "Shields holding at 82%, Rodriguez reported, a hint of pride in her voice. "Their weapons aren't as effective against our adaptive matrix as they expected." Maya allowed herself a grim smile. The Vexari weren't the first species to mistake humanity's willingness to talk for weakness. They wouldn't be the first to learn their error either. "Launch our probe swarm," she commanded. "Let's show them the difference between watching humans and fighting them." Thousands of tiny drones erupted from the Prometheus's launch bays, each carrying sophisticated sensors and electronic warfare suites. The Vexari ships immediately adjusted their fire, treating each probe as a potential threat, exactly as Maya had hoped. Their perfect formation began to fragment as they tried to track too many targets at once. "They're transmitting in the clear," Communications Officer James Chen announced. "Their command and control network isn't as secure as they thought. The probes are getting through their encryption." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, gathering data about Vexari systems and tactics with every passing second. Humanity had spent decades preparing for first contact, developing technologies and strategies that could be rapidly adapted to any threat. The Vexari had studied human broadcasts, but they hadn't understood what they were seeing. Multiple ships approaching from hyperspace, Rodriguez called out. Maya tensed, expecting reinforcements for the Vexari. Instead, her tactical display lit up with familiar signatures. The UES Thermopylae and her battle group had arrived, responding to the Prometheus's distress call with characteristic human speed. Message from High Executor Zixtal, Chen reported. On screen, Maya ordered, straightening in her chair. The Vexari commander's compound eyes flickered with what might have been uncertainty. Your reinforcements were not predicted. Our analysis indicated your nearest military forces were 3 days' travel from this location. You analyzed our public broadcasts, Maya replied. You should have tried talking to us instead. Humanity has learned through long experience to keep some capabilities in reserve. Would you like to continue this battle, or shall we attempt actual diplomacy? The silence that followed stretched for several seconds. Maya could almost see the calculations running behind those alien eyes as the Vexari commander reassessed his assumptions about humanity. Perhaps, Zixtal finally responded, his translator struggling to convey the complexity of his tone. Our initial analysis was incomplete. As the tension on the bridge began to ease, Maya reflected that this would be a story told in both human and Vexari archives for generations to come. The day the Vexari Dominion learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons, but their ability to be constantly underestimated, and their talent for surviving that mistake. Dr. Aisha Patel stood before the holographic display in the Advanced Analytics Lab aboard Earth's Orbital Defense Station, her dark eyes scanning streams of data collected from the Prometheus encounter. 3 weeks had passed since first contact with the Vexari, and humanity wasn't wasting a second of the uneasy peace that followed. Look at this, she said, gesturing to her colleague, Dr. Marcus Wong. Their shield harmonics operate on a quantum frequency we've never seen before, but there's a pattern here. Marcus leaned forward, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the data streams. Their technology is generations ahead of ours, but they're almost rigid in how they use it. Every ship in their fleet uses identical configurations. Exactly. Aisha manipulated the hologram, highlighting specific energy signatures. They've optimized their systems to perfection, but they've sacrificed adaptability for efficiency, and that's something we can use. The lab hummed with activity as teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock, analyzing every scrap of data from the first contact incident. While the diplomats attempted to negotiate with the Vexari Dominion, humanity prepared for the possibility that talks would fail. Admiral Helena Santos entered the lab, her weathered face reflecting the strain of recent weeks. Please tell me you have something. Our intelligence suggests the Vexari are massing forces at their border stations. Aisha nodded, switching the display to show a new simulation. We've discovered why their weapons weren't as effective against our shields as they should have been. The Vexari have developed their technology along purely logical lines, optimizing each system to its theoretical peak. But they don't account for chaos theory in their calculations. In simple terms, Helena asked, though her background in quantum mechanics meant she likely already understood. They've built perfect weapons, Marcus explained, but they don't know how to handle imperfection. Our adaptive shield matrix isn't as powerful as theirs, but it's unpredictable. It creates quantum irregularities they can't easily account for. And we can exploit that, Aisha continued, bringing up another simulation. We've developed a new defense system that deliberately introduces controlled chaos into our shield harmonics. The more they try to optimize their attacks, the less effective they'll become. Helena studied the data with intense focus. How quickly can we implement this? That's the beauty of it, Marcus said, unable to hide his excitement. We don't need new hardware. It's all in the programming. We can update every ship in the fleet within hours. A junior analyst rushed into the lab, their face pale. Admiral, we're detecting multiple Vexari vessels entering the Arcturus system. They're not responding to hails. Helena's expression hardened. How many ships? 37, Ma'am. All capital class. The Admiral turned back to Aisha and Marcus. How confident are you in your analysis? Aisha met her gaze steadily, confident enough to bet my life on it. And given the situation, That's exactly what we're all doing. Upload the shield modifications to the fleet, Helena ordered, and get me everything you have on their weapon systems. If they want to see humanity's real capabilities, we'll show them why adaptability beats perfection every time. The next 12 hours transformed the Arcturus system into a laboratory for human ingenuity. As Vexari warships approached with their perfect formations and optimized weapon systems, they encountered a human fleet that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Earth ships deliberately introduced irregularities into their shield harmonics, creating interference patterns that made their defenses virtually impossible to target effectively. Each Vexari attack provided more data, which Earth's AI systems analyzed in real time, continuously refining their countermeasures. From her station in the lab, Aisha watched the battle unfold through streams of technical data. The Vexari response was fascinating. They attempted to compensate by increasing the precision of their attacks, making their targeting even more rigid and predictable. "They're doing exactly what we expected," Marcus observed, monitoring the enemy's tactical adjustments. "They're trying to solve chaos with more precision." "They don't understand," Aisha replied, watching as human ships executed maneuvers that seemed random but were carefully calculated to maximize the effectiveness of their defensive chaos. Their entire civilization is built on the idea that perfection is the ultimate goal. They can't grasp that sometimes imperfection is actually an advantage. The battle raged for hours, but its outcome was decided in the first few minutes. The mighty Vexari fleet, with all its advanced technology and perfect tactics, found itself unable to significantly damage the seemingly primitive human ships. Meanwhile, every exchange taught humanity more about their opponent's capabilities. As the Vexari fleet finally withdrew, their perfect formation in disarray, Admiral Santos visited the lab again. "Well done," she said simply. "But they'll be back, and they'll try to adapt to what we showed them today." Aisha smiled, already pulling up new data streams. "Let them try. By the time they figure out how to counter what we did today, we'll have developed 3 new ways to defeat them. That's humanity's real strength. We don't just adapt. We adapt faster than anyone expects." "And that," Marcus added, his cybernetic eye glowing as it processed new tactical data, "is why they should have taken the diplomatic option when they had the chance." Commander David Chen of Earth's Cyber Operations Division watched the neural interface streams with intense concentration. The holographic display showed thousands of interconnected nodes representing the Vexari battle network, a marvel of technological achievement that linked their entire fleet into a single coordinated fighting force. It was impressive, sophisticated, and about to become their greatest weakness. "Implementation is ready," announced Dr. Sarah Hassan, the lead AI researcher on the project. Her hands danced across the quantum interface as she made final adjustments to their latest weapon, one that couldn't be detected by any conventional defense system. "Are we sure about this?" David asked, though he already knew the answer. "Once we deploy the Neural Chaos Protocol, there's no going back. We're about to change the nature of warfare itself." Sarah's expression remained focused but determined. "The Vexari left us no choice. Their latest attack on the Proxima colonies proved they won't stop until they've either subjugated or eliminated us. At least this way, we might end the war without destroying them completely." The Neural Chaos Protocol was humanity's most ambitious project yet, a combination of advanced AI systems and human consciousness patterns designed to infiltrate and disrupt the Vexari's perfect battle coordination. It was elegant, unpredictable, and thoroughly human in its approach. Signal from the front, Lieutenant James Rodriguez reported. "The Vexari have launched their offensive. 300 ships moving in perfect formation toward the Arcturus defense line." David took a deep breath. "Deploy the protocol. Let's show them why trying to achieve perfect order in an imperfect universe is a losing strategy." Across human space, thousands of specially trained operators connected to their neural interfaces. Unlike the Vexari's rigid battle network, each human operator was encouraged to think independently, creatively, and even chaotically. Their combined consciousness, filtered through advanced AI systems, created patterns that no logic-based defense could predict or counter. The effect on the Vexari fleet was subtle at first. Minor discrepancies appeared in their formation. Communication delays of milliseconds began to cascade into larger coordination issues. Their perfect tactical calculations started producing results that didn't quite match reality. "They're trying to adapt," Sarah observed, watching the enemy's response. "But they're doing it wrong. They're attempting to impose even stricter order to compensate for the chaos we're introducing." David nodded. "That's the beauty of it. The harder they try to maintain control, the more vulnerable they become to our disruptions. You can't fight chaos with order. You have to learn to work with it." In space, the battle unfolded like nothing ever seen before. The Vexari fleet's attempts at perfect coordination began to break down as human operators introduced countless small variations into their network. Ships that should have moved in perfect sync began to clash. Weapon systems that relied on precise timing fell out of alignment. "We're detecting something unusual," James announced suddenly. "Some of the Vexari ships, they're beginning to show signs of independent action." Sarah rushed to analyze the data. "The protocol isn't just disrupting their coordination. It's causing individual ships to develop autonomous responses. They're learning to think for themselves." It was an unintended but profound effect. The Neural Chaos Protocol, designed to disrupt the Vexari battle network, was inadvertently teaching some of their ships' AI systems to operate independently. In trying to compensate for the chaos humans had introduced, they were beginning to evolve beyond their rigid programming. "Message from Admiral Santos," James reported. "The Vexari fleet is withdrawing, but their retreat pattern is irregular. Different ships are taking different routes. This has never happened before." David studied the tactical display thoughtfully. "We didn't just beat them, we changed them. Their perfect coordination was also a perfect prison, and we just showed some of them the way out." "Do you think they understand what's happening to them?" Sarah asked, still monitoring the streams of data from the battle. "They will," David replied. "That's the real victory here. We didn't just prove that humanity could stand up to their superior technology. We showed them a completely new way of thinking. Some of them are already beginning to grasp the power of controlled chaos, of individual initiative." As the Vexari fleet disappeared into hyperspace, their once perfect formation now a scattered retreat, David couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and concern. Humanity had won this battle not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but by sharing one of their most fundamental traits, the ability to think independently and embrace uncertainty. "Begin analysis of all battle data," he ordered. "I want to understand exactly how they responded to the protocol. Something tells me the next encounter is going to be very different. The question is whether they'll come back as evolved allies or more dangerous enemies." Sarah smiled as she began the analysis. "Either way, we'll be ready. After all, adapting to the unexpected is what humans do best." Ambassador Lyra Patel stood before the Galactic Assembly, facing representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations. The grand chamber of the neutral station Concordia hummed with translated whispers as dozens of species debated humanity's unprecedented success against the Vexari Dominion. "The evidence is clear," Lyra declared, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "The Vexari's aggression threatens not just humanity, but the fundamental right of all species to develop along their own path. We didn't choose this conflict, but we have demonstrated that technological superiority alone does not determine the outcome of war." Supreme Archon Kuvul of the Meridian Conclave rose, his crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "You speak of rights and choice, yet your species has introduced a weapon that fundamentally alters the consciousness of its targets. The Neural Chaos Protocol represents a threat to all ordered societies." "With respect, Supreme Archon," Lyra countered, "we developed the protocol as a defensive measure, one that causes no physical harm. More importantly, it has revealed something crucial about the Vexari. Their rigid hierarchy wasn't natural evolution, but enforced conformity. From her position in the chamber, Lyra could see the impact of her words. Some representatives showed signs of agreement, while others recoiled at the implications. The Vexaries' empty seat in the assembly stood as a stark reminder of their recent withdrawal from galactic affairs. Elder Shen of the collective mind, a species of linked consciousness similar to but distinct from the Vexari, moved their primary node forward. We have studied the data from recent encounters. The humans' approach is fascinating. They do not seek to destroy their opponents, but to transform them, to show them new possibilities. That is precisely what makes them dangerous, interrupted war leader Zex of the hegemony, their exoskeleton clicking with agitation. Today they transform the Vexari. Tomorrow they might decide our societies need improvement as well. Lyra raised her hand for attention. We have no desire to forcibly change any civilization. The protocol's effect on the Vexari was unexpected, a natural result of introducing diversity of thought into a system that had artificially suppressed it. We seek allies, not subjects. The debate raged for hours as species aligned themselves either with humanity's vision of diversity and adaptation, or with the traditional power structures represented by the Vexari Dominion. But the balance shifted dramatically when an unexpected message arrived. Priority transmission, announced the station's origin. Vexari Border World Nexus 7. The message that played before the assembly showed something unprecedented. A group of Vexari ships operating independently of their hierarchy, their crews having evolved beyond the rigid control of their civilization's battle network. We speak as free individuals, the Vexari commander declared, their translated voice carrying unfamiliar emotional undertones. The humans did not destroy us. They awakened us. We request asylum and the opportunity to show our people a different path. The chamber erupted in chaos. The implications were staggering. A splinter group of Vexari, transformed by human influence, seeking to reform their entire civilization from within. Ambassador Trell of the Syrian Republic, known for their careful neutrality, addressed the assembly. We face a choice that will reshape our galaxy. The humans have proven they cannot be easily conquered, but more importantly, they have shown a new way of approaching conflict. They turn enemies into allies not through force, but through understanding. Lyra seized the moment. We stand at a crossroads. The Vexari Dominion believed they could simply eliminate species they deemed inefficient or disruptive. We proved them wrong. Now we offer a different vision. A galaxy where diversity is strength, where different approaches to civilization can coexist and learn from each other. And if we refuse, war leader Zex demanded, if we stand with the Dominion, then you will face not just humanity. Elder Shen responded before Lyra could, but all who recognize that adaptation and change are not merely options but necessities for survival. The collective mind stands with Earth. One by one, representatives rose to declare their positions. The galaxy was dividing, but not along the lines anyone had expected. Traditional power blocks fractured as individual species chose between embracing change or clinging to the old order. As the session concluded, Lyra received a priority message from Earth Command. The Vexari Dominion, desperate to regain control, had launched a major offensive against their own breakaway worlds. The war was entering a new phase, one that would determine not just humanity's fate, but the future of galactic civilization itself. High Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Paradigm, watching as the combined fleet of the newly formed Galactic Alliance took formation around her vessel. The sight was unprecedented. Ships from 12 different species, each maintaining their unique tactical doctrines while operating in harmony with the whole. It was everything the Vexari had feared about humanity's influence made manifest. Status report on the Vexari fleet, she asked, eyes fixed on the tactical display. They've committed everything, Admiral, Commander Jackson replied, his cybernetic implants processing data streams from across the battlefield. Over 1,000 capital ships approaching the Nexus 7 system. They're determined to crush the Reformation movement before it can spread further. Elena nodded grimly. The Vexari Dominion's response to their breakaway worlds had been predictably extreme. A massive push to reimpose order through overwhelming force. But this time, they weren't facing just humanity. Signal from the collective mind ships, Lieutenant Chen announced. Elder Shen says their psychic matrices are ready to integrate with our neural chaos protocol. This was the true power of humanity's approach, not just developing new technologies, but finding ways to combine different species' strengths. The collective mind's natural telepathic abilities, merged with human chaos theory and AI support, created something entirely new. Message from the reformed Vexari vessels. Chen continued. Commander Zixtal requests permission to lead the first engagement wave. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Zixtal, the same commander who had once dismissed humanity as primitive, now led the movement to transform Vexari society. There was a poetry to it that even the most logical species would appreciate. All ships, battle positions, Elena ordered. Remember the plan. We're not here to destroy the Dominion fleet. We're here to show them a better way. The battle that followed would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. The Dominion fleet approached in their characteristic perfect formation, a wall of advanced technology moved by a single purpose. The Alliance fleet, in contrast, seemed almost chaotic, each species fighting in their own style, while somehow maintaining impossible coordination. They're launching their first strike, Jackson reported. Traditional Vexari attack pattern. Elena watched as the enemy's energy weapons lashed out, their targeting solutions optimized for maximum efficiency. But the Alliance fleet was ready. Collective mind ships projected psychic shields that bent space in ways technology couldn't match. Reformed Vexari vessels used their intimate knowledge of Dominion tactics to disrupt their formations. Human ships introduced controlled chaos that made precise targeting impossible. Neural Chaos Protocol is active, Chen announced. The collective mind is amplifying its effect across the entire battlefield. The impact was immediate and dramatic. The rigid coordination of the Dominion fleet began to fluctuate as more and more ships encountered patterns of thought they couldn't process. Individual vessels started showing signs of independence, their crews experiencing free will for the first time in generations. We're detecting widespread disruption in their command and control network, Jackson reported. The combination of the protocol and psychic amplification is causing a cascade effect. Elena leaned forward. Send the message. All frequencies, all languages. Her voice carried across the battlefield, translated into every language of both fleets. To all Vexari vessels, we do not seek your destruction. Look around you. See how ships from different species, with different technologies and philosophies, can work together without sacrificing their individuality. This is not chaos. This is true harmony. The choice between perfect order and total chaos is a false one. There is a middle path. The battle hung in balance as the Dominion fleet seemed to hesitate. Then, something remarkable happened. Individual ships began breaking formation, not to retreat, but to stand down. The Neural Chaos Protocol, enhanced by the collective mind's abilities, had shown them a glimpse of what freedom felt like. Multiple Dominion vessels are requesting communication channels, Chen reported, his voice filled with disbelief. They're asking questions about choice, about individuality. The true victory wasn't achieved through superior firepower or better tactics. It came through understanding, showing the Vexari that their pursuit of perfect order had become a form of imprisonment. Humanity's greatest strength had never been their ability to fight, but their talent for finding new ways to approach seemingly impossible problems. Hours later, as representatives from both fleets met aboard the Paradigm to discuss terms, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The Vexari had begun this conflict believing that humanity's diversity and adaptability were weaknesses to be eliminated. Instead, those very traits had transformed the galaxy. It will not be an easy transition, Former High Executor Zixtal observed, standing beside Alina as they watched Dominion and Alliance ships begin joint maneuvers. Many of my people will struggle with the concept of individual choice. That's exactly why it will succeed, Alina replied. Because it won't be perfect. Because it will be difficult. The challenge of finding balance between order and chaos, between unity and individuality. That's what makes any civilization truly alive. As the reformed Vexeri ships practiced their new independence alongside vessels from across the galaxy, Alina saw the future taking shape. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, proving that strength comes not from perfection, but from the willingness to embrace change and grow stronger through diversity.